Hey yo! Hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing Nightwing on the Razor's Edge. Not Scott Hall's Razor Ramon's Razor's Edge. No, a different Razor's Edge. So on the Razor's Edge, take a look at this comic cover right here. Now on the Razor's Edge is the 7th volume in the ongoing Nightwing series. And I would like to point out a few things before I actually start reviewing this book itself. Now, with the exception of Nightwing Year 1, this is the last title that Chuck Dixon does with Nightwing, the last big story arc with Nightwing. After this, it goes on to various other writers. In addition to that, this volume goes up to, I believe, issue 62. I could be wrong about that, but the next graphic novel after this is Nightwing Year 1, and that picks up issues 100. So there's a lot of issues missing in the Nightwing ongoing series that hasn't been collected into trade paperbacks. Now the reason for this is many of the issues are actually done in crossovers with Batman and various other Batman families. Specifically with the Batman Murderer and Fugitive series. So that's one of the reasons why the stories weren't collected into trade. So after this is going to be kind of a big jump, and it's going to go on to a different feel, a different writer, and some different stories with Nightwing. So with that said, let's get into the story itself. On Razor's Edge has several small stories and one big story. But I'm not going to point out all the stories in this. I'm only going to point out the ones that I feel are important or are good. The first story deals with Catwoman. Now, Catwoman, for some reason, is utterly bored with Gotham, so she goes to Bloodhaven. Apparently, there's some rare diamond or gem there that she wants to collect, and she goes off to steal it. However, Nightwing gets in her way, and they have to work together to stop some various criminals from stealing it first. It's a classic back and forth between Catwoman and Nightwing bickering. And what's interesting is at the very end, Nightwing kind of just blows Catwoman off. She tries to pull all the cute little angles with Nightwing that she does with Batman, and he kind of just says, yeah, screw you. But the interesting thing about this story is that all the inner dialogue is done by Catwoman herself. Nightwing actually doesn't do the inner dialogue for this. So you gotta get to see things through Catwoman's perspective. Another good thing about this story itself is it's really Catwoman during her gray area time, when she was still a criminal and not an ally of Batman. And I really like the portrayal of Catwoman in this. I like how she is gray area in this. As much as I like her being a love interest and an ally of Batman, it's always fun to get into that femme fatale, dangerous, criminal Catwoman too. And she's written very nicely here by Chuck Dixon. The next story deals with the Shriek, I believe that's his name, the Shriek. Now see, one thing to point out is, up until this point, Barbara Gordon and Nightwing have kind of started up a relationship. Not a playful back and forth relationship, I mean hardcore calling each other boyfriend and girlfriend, which is done very nicely. I like how it's written, I like how it's a very welcoming, accepting, and loving relationship between these two. And they have a lot of history between each other. It kind of reaches its climax here, at least it reaches its very high point here, where they are in a legitimate relationship. It's just not behind the shadows playing around. So anyways, Blockbuster is quite pissed off that Nightwing is still roaming around Bloodhaven. And he's pissed off that none of the people that he's hired was able to take Nightwing down. So Blockbuster gets all the people that he's ever hired to take down Nightwing and had them fight the Shriek. Right here, this guy in the yellow and the red right there. Shriek utterly beats the crap out of all of them, or at least the ones that wanted to fight. And Blockbuster decided to hire the Shriek as the new person to take down Nightwing. Now the interesting thing is the Shriek and Nightwing have a little bit of history, stemming back way back to when Nightwing was Robin. Shriek is able to capture Nightwing, and the majority of the story is Nightwing trying to get out of the being captive of the Shriek. In addition to that, Barbara Gordon and Black Canary help out very well. Help out also. But this story is done very well. I like how Nightwing is put in a position where he's at a grave disadvantage, and he is in big trouble, and he needs to think his way out of it. It's a very nice story, and definitely the highlight of this trade paperback. Now, there's a few other stories in this, but the only one small story that's worth mentioning is Nightwing trying to infiltrate the corrupt cops of Bloodhaven. Now, Nightwing is able to make officer status in the police officers of Bloodhaven, and him and his partner kind of talk back and forth. his partner tries to test to see if he's corrupt or not, and Nightwing plays along, playing that he is corrupt. He gets brought to this secret society of Bloodhaven cops, and hopes to infiltrate them and to get into the dirty side of the cops, to kind of take them down. However, does things work out the way Nightwing wants it to? I'll let you figure that out on your own. But it's a nice closing to the Chuck Dixon chapter with Nightwing. A very nice closing. So on to the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. First thing, good. All the stories on here are satisfying. They're either at the level of being good or very good. None of them reach in the fair or pathetic area. I mean, again, Chuck Dixon, he's done such a good job with Nightwing at this point. Does such a good job with anything Batman, so I would expect nothing less. The story I enjoyed the most was the Shriek story, with Catwoman's story coming in afterwards. I really like how Nightwing's put in the position that he is vulnerable, and he has to work his way out. Those two stories are very good. I wish it was a third story that would have taken more issues rather than individual small issues of one-shot stories. However, I'm not going to complain about that much. The one-shot stories were still fun and still satisfying. The art in this is also very good. This is one of the stories that kind of transitions into more realistic art style, and they do a good job at it. Just to kind of give you a look, that's the kind of art style that you're going to get, and it's a very nice art style. Bad. Chuck Dixon leaving. Like I said many times before, Chuck Dixon is one of my favorite writers, probably my favorite Batman writer, along with Paul Dini. He's done such a good job with Nightwing. I'm a little hesitant with what comes with Nightwing after this, because I've heard Nightwing goes downhill a bit. Now again, don't tell me what stories are good or bad. I want to go into it with a blank slate to form my own opinion, but I would have really liked to see Chuck Dixon stay on here. But with that said, there's really not much bad about this at all. I do believe it's better than the previous Nightwing volume, Volume 6. Not the best Nightwing volume out there, but it's still fun. It has some good stories in here, great art, and the Barbara Gordon and Dick Grayson stuff that goes back and forth is really nice. It really is well done. These two, I know they get engaged and it doesn't happen, but I would really like to see these two get back together once Nightwing kind of stops being Batman and becomes Nightwing again, or becomes whatever he wants to be. So with that said, on the Razor's Edge, I do recommend picking this up. I highly recommend picking this up. It's a fun series of stories, and it's Nightwing. It's Nightwing at his best. It's Chuck Dixon doing what he does best. So with that said, I'm going to end this review here. This is Andrew saying, peace out for now.